Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to 10WT Friday, where every single week we teach you how to form the healthy habits that will transform your body and your life. In order to transform, you have to start with your why, then you have to set your goal, then you have to identify your weekly behaviors that will get you to your goal. You have to track your progress on a scoreboard and set micro habits every single week that set you up for success. If you do these steps, your habits are going to be rock solid, your self-confidence is going to skyrocket, and you'll be on the path closer to your best you. Every single week, we help health-conscious people like yourself optimize their potential. I'm your host, Nick Carrier, and today, I'm super excited talking about 3 steps to increasing your back squat. The goal of the Best You podcast is to allow you to feel confident about what you need to do, why you need to do it, and how to do it in order to get closer and closer to your best you. I guess the first thing I really want to talk about before even how to increase your back squat is why you should try to maybe increase your back squat. The back squat is one of the most foundational exercises in any strength training program, or should be really one of the most foundational exercises in any strength training program. Now, depending on who you are, if you're a little bit older and you have back issues, putting a heavy weight on your back like that can compress your spine too much and give you problems over time. But if you have a great strength, if you have a good strength training program and a good coach, then you're not going to excessively do too much of it. And you're also going to do exercises that help decompress your spine and take the load off of your spine. And you're not going to do it too much all just in one workout. But one of the reasons to do it is because it's one of the exercises that triggers and sparks your central nervous system, which is a big indicator of the potential for muscle growth. And one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is a central nervous system shock not only is going to build the muscle group that you're training, but it's also going to help build other muscle groups. Now, I'm not going to say that if you do back squats that all of a sudden your shoulders are going to get big, all of a sudden your arms are going to get big, but there is a muscle protein synthesis response in your body, and it has a bigger response at the muscle groups that were just trained, but it will also have a response in the other areas as well. And so really making sure that we shock that central nervous system through big lifts like a back squat is really important. And also you just want to break down the biggest muscle groups in your body. And because when you break down the biggest muscle groups in your body, you have to rebuild the biggest muscle groups in your body. Therefore, it has a greater metabolic effect and caloric burn while it's rebuilding. And also, when the biggest muscle group is then bigger, your overall resting metabolic rate is going to be higher later on. And that's something I went into greater depth in the last episode. If you want to go to the last episode and learn the 4 steps to build muscle and lose body fat at the same time, make sure you check it out. But that's why you should really be focused on potentially increasing your back squat. Today, I want to talk about the 3 steps to actually doing that, to increasing your back squat itself. First topic is about maximizing your depth. So when you maximize your depth in the back squat and your ability to get low, either to 90 degrees or a little bit below 90 degrees, a little bit below parallel, you're going to be recruiting more muscle fibers. Generally speaking, in most exercises, the more range of motion that you have, the more muscle fibers that you're going to be recruiting. If you're recruiting more muscle fibers, you're going to be breaking down more muscle fibers, therefore having the ability to build more muscle fibers. And if you build more muscle fibers, then you're going to have more muscle fibers to recruit when trying to lift heavier weight. And so in order to increase your depth, you need to be focused on a few different things. 1, your hip mobility. 2, your ankle mobility. And 3, the strength of your core. Because if you don't have good core strength, then your upper body is going to collapse and you can only get so far down. If you don't have hip mobility, you're going to be restricted just on the way down because your hips can't move very well. If you have bad ankle mobility, no matter how good your hips can move, you're only going to be able to go down so low because your shin angle is not going to be able to get to the degree it needs to get super low. And so I'm not going to be able to give specific exercises over the mic. You guys can look at my Instagram. That's one thing I wanted to mention. If you have not followed my new Instagram account, make sure that you go to @10week_transformation to follow my brand new Instagram account where I'm giving just all advice on fitness tips, nutrition education, nutrition tips, mindset hacks, habit tips, all on that account. And so there's no necessarily personal matter on that. You can get all of that at 10week_transformation. So you can go there and learn hip mobility exercises, ankle mobility exercises, and core exercises as well. But number one is to improve the depth to help increase your back squat. Number two is you have to do unilateral training. Now, what's unilateral training? That means one side at a time. And in particular for back squats, one leg at a time. So things like single leg lunges, things like step ups, things like single leg RDLs or single leg deadlifts. Training one leg at a time will get specifically that leg stronger, and then you'll do the other side and you'll get specifically that leg stronger. Therefore, when they work together, they can produce higher output. 1 + 1 does not always equal 2. 1 + 1 can equal 3 or even more sometimes when it comes to strength training. And so oftentimes, right, like when you do bilateral training is what it's called when you're doing both legs at the same time. Of course, each leg is getting stronger, but there are some muscle fibers that are not being recruited, specifically stability, muscle fibers that are responsible for stability that are recruited when you're doing unilateral training. And so when you recruit more muscle fibers, then when you go back to bilateral training, you have more muscle fibers to recruit when trying to lift heavier weights. So doing unilateral training in your lower body days is super important. That's something I always, if you do the 10-week transformation or have ever done the 10-week transformation, you know that in every single lower body day, we make sure that we have at least one major lift in. We usually have some form of squat. We usually have some form of deadlift or hip bridge. And then we always have unilateral training as well. And usually when I do unilateral training, I do a unilateral exercise that is quad focused, a unilateral exercise that is hamstring and or glute focused. And so I make sure that we're hitting those major muscle groups in a unilateral form. So make sure you guys do that in your training as well. And then number three, the third step to increasing your back squat is to ensure that you definitely train heavy, but that you also vary up your rep counts. I think a lot of people get stuck when doing exercises. They just always do 8, 10, 12 reps. If you only do 8, 10, 12 reps, then your body's going to get so used to that, and you're not going to be able to, it's going to adapt to that rep count, and you're not going to shock your system. In order to shock your system, you have to do things that you're not used to doing. And so you want to train at a low rep count. Definitely train at a low rep count of anywhere between 2 to 6 reps to really try to go nice and heavy and to really train strength. And I would say even if you're just trying to like increase your overall max, you still want to have a period of time where you're training at a higher rep count as well, anywhere from 10, 12, 15 reps on squats. You want to make sure you train that as well because, again, muscle growth happens when you put your body outside of its comfort zone. And you're putting your body outside of its comfort zone when you do something you're not used to doing. And so if you only ever do 3 reps, you're going to limit the amount of growth that you have and the strength that you're able to gain. If you only do 8 reps, you're going to limit the amount that you can grow. If you only do 15 reps, you're going to limit. Always do the 3 different rep ranges of, maybe 2 to 6, of 7 to 12, and then 13 or greater. You want to make sure that you vary up your rep counts and your rep schemes and your rest schemes along with that in order to optimize your ability to increase your back squat. So again, the 3 steps to increasing your back squat. Number 1, improve your depth by improving 3 things: your hip mobility, your ankle mobility, and your core strength. The second thing was you need to make sure you do unilateral training, meaning training one leg at a time. And I would add in at least one quad focused exercise and at least one hamstring and or glute focused exercise as well. And then lastly, train heavy if you don't do so. And you also need to make sure you vary up your rep counts and your rest times. I hope you guys are motivated now to maybe try to increase your back squat. I'm not always trying to increase my back squat currently. Like right now, I'm kind of in a maintenance phase with my health and my fitness. I'm happy with where my body's at. I'm happy with how I'm currently feeling. So I'm not trying to increase my back squat. But a lot of people love increasing their back squat and love that as a goal and should have that as a goal if they are looking to really make sure to try to build muscle and lose body fat. And so if that's you, then this might be something that you try to follow along with. So make sure you have those 3 things down and make sure you share it with a friend or family member who's also trying to potentially build muscle, lose body fat, and increase their back squat so that they have a framework or some guidelines that they can follow. And like I said, make sure you follow the new Instagram account at 10week_transformation so that you can get more specific tips on how to do things exactly like this. And I'm actually going to have an Instagram post that shows these 3 things on how to increase your back squat, that shows the importance of depth, that shows some exercises you can do for unilateral training, that and talks about a little bit more varying up your rep count. So make sure you follow that. And ultimately, if you also want to increase your back squat, 4th step is to join the 10-week transformation, because we do have that in basically every single lower body day or some variation of a squat in our lower body days. So make sure you go to nickcarrier.com/10WT to get started. If you're in Nashville, you got to wait till the next start date. If you're not in Nashville, you can get started literally today. Don't say that someday I'm going to do this. Someday could be today if you take action. Someday it could be today if you stop right now. Go to nickcarrier.com/10WT and get started right now. I would love to coach you through it. You'll get in the mail 2 different workbooks, one with your scoreboard, one with your workout plan, and then we can talk on a weekly basis to make sure you're held accountable and you're held to a high standard and you follow through with the promises that you make to yourself on a daily basis. Just go to nickcarrier.com/10WT to get started today. Again, nickcarrier.com/10WT, and let's get started transforming your body, transforming your life, and upgrading your habits and self-confidence today. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed today. I hope you guys got something out of it today. I hope it helps you get closer to your health and fitness goals, and I hope it ultimately helps you get closer and closer to your best you.